Welcome to Just Minding My Business. I'm happy that you joined us today. And I am so excited to bring to you a franchise veteran, coach, author, speaker, and consultant who's going to simplify the process of franchising and excels at guiding his candidates to the business model that best suits their desired lifestyle. So, without further ado, Mr. G, that's what
Mr.
I
G.
call.
Just Giuseppe Grammatico. It's a mouthful, but yeah, G is a lot easier. So G is cool. That's much simpler.
Okay, so let's get right into this. One of the things, so you're doing franchise. Can you tell our audience basically what a franchise is and how can they benefit from it?
Sure. A franchise, best way to put it, is a business on training wheels. A franchise is a proven business system. So someone has already kind of figured out the best way of doing business. Maybe they've put together vendor relationships, policies and procedures, best way to go about marketing. So you have an entire system that once you invest in that franchise, you have 100% access to. So that is what a franchise is. And as far as helping people invest in a franchise, uh, a franchise is for someone that wants everything built for them so they can hit the ground running much quicker. It's for someone that really wants the system built. They don't want to figure out the brands, the logos, the best way of doing business. It's really all put together for them so that they could take advantage of that system. And that's who's a good fit for a franchise, people that want those systems in place. So there's a franchise in every industry, 4,000 franchises roughly in the US alone. So if you can think of a business or industry, more than likely there'll be a franchise.
Okay. Wow. So tell us what type of people tend to gear toward a franchise.
Yeah, so when people are looking at franchises, there's obviously a couple things. Number one is following systems, following those procedures. If you buy a McDonald's, then you're planning on running with those systems, utilizing their menu and infrastructure and how to build out a location. People that have access to capital, those are other things. And access to capital, there's going to be a franchise fee involved. There's plenty of other costs and variables and things like that you would incur with any other business. But an advantage of a franchise is that they're going to put together kind of a low and a high end kind of range when it comes to the investment based off of the feedback they receive from their franchisees. So, people that also do excel and are good fits for a franchise understand the value. Yes, the franchisor is going to charge a 5, 10, whatever that percentage is in royalty. But
Mhm.
the better question is what am I getting for this royalty? What kind of support? What kind of training? Just what kind of access am I getting in speaking with maybe 100 other of my fellow franchisees to really have this built-in mastermind of sharing ideas, maybe even getting in on various marketing campaigns. Like we're in neighboring states, and we can share staff if there's a big enough job or even marketing campaigns. So there's a lot of advantages. So it's really for the person that understands the advantages of what they're getting, want to get up and running relatively quickly and not recreate the wheel.
Okay. And you know what? Some days I'm like leaning more towards franchise
Franchise.
because it is a lot of work building a business from scratch, from the ground up. It's a lot of, I mean, not to say that a franchise doesn't have its challenges, but with systems already in place, all you gotta do is follow directions pretty much. Staffing already in place, revenue in place.
It's
It's
a it's a guy, it's a guy. I tell everyone there it's a franchise is a risk. There's you're following that system. You really have to follow that system. They're going to give you, there's going to be marketing in place, but you still have to monitor the marketing, monitor the KPIs and things like that. So there's this concept, I say active, it's not a passive opportunity. It's really whether you're full-time or maybe semi-absentee, we call it, maybe you're part-time in the business, you're balancing a job to get up and running. There's still this, you need to make sure that you hire the right people, go to the trainings with especially if you have a general manager, and plan accordingly. Have the financial reserves, just like any other business. That franchise, although there's a lot of advantages, may take a little bit longer to get up and running. Maybe the economy is heading south. Maybe there's some craziness, there's some uncertainty in the world. Have those cash reserves, get those financials in order, so that if you do have a slow few months, you're not worrying about keeping the lights on. You do have access to that capital.
Yes, yes, indeed. So, your company, how do you guide your clients through the process? It's Gigi, the franchise guy.
GG, yeah, because it's so much easier to say. We simplify. So essentially, what we do is the number one and most important thing is right out the gate. Let's figure out together on a 20-minute call if a franchise may be the right fit before we explore brands. So we're going to go through things like financials. Do you have the cash and the investment? We're going to go through things like time frame. If your time frame is not to open but to make a decision over 6 months, it's a year or two. We keep it a little bit more high level. No real reason to look at brands, because brands are based off of availability, just like when you're looking to buy a home. So if the time frame is above 6 months, we always say let's just keep it high level until we get closer to that time frame, so we can start looking at brands. And then, as I mentioned, are you okay following the system? So that's kind of the system. So that's the first phase. After that, it's really figuring out, okay, franchise sounds like it could be a good fit. Let's reverse engineer the process with the end in mind. What are we trying to achieve? For me, it was my why. It was time freedom more than anything else. I started before the kids were born, and I said I want to not miss any of the events. My family owned the restaurant, missed a lot of events and activities. I didn't want that. So I invested in a business, created some time freedom so that I became a soccer coach, and in 14 years never missed a soccer game. So that's my big accomplishment, my why. Never miss my daughter's activities and the Girl Scout events and things like that. So, why are we doing this? Because that why is, as you know, being a business owner, it's, your business could be cyclical. There's going to be some down months, maybe a down year, and that why is that reminder of why you got into business ownership. And then we look at what the brand looks like from the standpoint of what's your investment, and we educate on funding strategies. What do your employees look like? And what I mean by that is, are they W-2 employees? Are they 1099 contractors? Are they highly skilled in their trade? Are they not as highly skilled? We look at one of the most important things that is actually missed is, what is the franchisee's role in the business? What are you doing? So if the widget is cybersecurity, that's a service you offer, but the role of the franchisee is to talk to 10 new small businesses every single day. Are you okay with that role? And that's where I get really clear on. We look at location, brick and mortar versus home-based business, and there's 12 different characteristics or areas we look at. And we just had a call about 2 hours ago. Once we get clear on what the ideal business looks like, we summarize it in what we call a franchise model, and then we go to work to see what's available in your market, both with new franchises as well as resales.
Okay. So it's almost like buying a house, so to speak, in some areas.
It is. What are the requirements of the home? Do you need a pool? Do you not?
Right.
If it doesn't have a pool, is there a pool nearby? Is there a pool club? So we look at all those aspects. But just like buying a home, you need to get your finances in order, which is exactly what you're going to do here.
Right.
And then depending on the state, I'm in New Jersey. You need an attorney to buy and sell a home. That's not the case in every state. We recommend a franchise attorney to review the documents for peace of mind that there aren't any red flags or some areas in question that they need a little bit more clarification on. So it's a holistic approach in figuring this out. I even bring other people to the table, like someone that can maybe help you sell the business. As crazy as that is, is to say, you haven't even purchased the franchise, how to sell the business. What are typical variable, or I should say multipliers on your earnings, and what does that process look like? So I bring a lot of professionals to the table to eventually help at some point down the road.
Okay, well, it sounds like you got every avenue covered.
We try. It's not perfect, but we're trying to always improve and get better.
Yes. Now, do you have some people that buyers that come in and buy a franchise and maybe hold it for 5 years and then want to sell it?
Yeah, everyone is part of one of those characteristics we talked about. It's what is the plan? Is the plan to, grow it in 3 to 5 years and sell it and grow the revenue and profitability as fast as possible? You may go in one direction, one type of franchise, but if it's to create a legacy, pass that business down to the children and generation to generation, maybe it's a different strategy. Maybe it's a different franchise because now you're looking at a much longer kind of growth, you're looking at 20, 30, 50 years down the road. So we're going to look at brands a little bit differently. The good news is that there is no right or wrong. We're still going to make sure the brands check off all the boxes. And guess what? Life happens. And I can tell you from experience and talking with others, sometimes you want to create generational wealth and pass it down, and your kids don't want the business, or they go to school, or they're like, I'm really liking my job. I don't want to, I don't want to have anything to do with the business. And that's okay. There's still an ability to sell, or maybe set up an ESOP where you're giving and empowering an employee to purchase, little by little, maybe over the course of 5 to 10 years, shares of the business so that they eventually own it outright over, a 5 or 10 year period. So things happen, and that's the beauty of franchises. If things change, that's okay. But ultimately, we still want to make sure the match is perfectly there. So it's a good fit, and it's a sustainable business.
Yes. So if people want to contact you about purchasing or getting started with this activity, how do they do so?
Yeah, go right to my website. It's GG, my initials. So GG, the franchise guide, GUIDE. So GG, the franchise guide. I wrote a book called Franchise Freedom. It's my exact blueprint in helping you find a business. You can purchase on Amazon or download it for free right on the website. We have a podcast also called Franchise Freedom. Just type in a subject and it'll find of 252 shows, any
Yeah.
shows that match that topic. And if you're in the really early stages, there's an FAQ page, 25 FAQs we get on a daily basis. So we try to cover it all. There's no cost for our service. We are paid directly from the franchise companies, a referral fee, just like a real estate agent. And if you're ready to talk now and just, hey, I got the book, but I want to just dive in and establish, if a franchise may or may not be a good fit at this point in time, you could book a call. There's 3 quick questions, access to my calendar. It's 20 minutes. We'll figure out together if the fit's there, but no commitment, no cost, no contracts. We'll talk about, what's to come down the road with the future calls, but we're really here to help educate and figure out if a franchise may be the right fit.
Yes, and that's important because sometimes people are just kind of searching and they don't really know what they don't know or what they
Correct.
want.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? They just out there feeling the waters to see what attracts to them.
Yeah, I always say if you don't like your job, the grass isn't always greener, by owning a business. Maybe it's just a different job, or maybe it's just your manager or the company you're with. So um, I think you owe it to yourself to explore all options, whether
Mhm.
it be business ownership, real estate, keeping your job, side hustles, whatever you're looking into, explore the options, figure out what's the best fit for you. I really like to empower people. You don't need education. You don't need money. You don't need a family of entrepreneurs to do any of this. Franchising are for people, with the willingness to really, in the mindset of following the system and growing this thing, making an impact not only for their families but for their communities. And that's where we help a lot of people. But our job is also to shoot you straight and let you know that it's a journey. There's going to be good months, maybe not so great months. These are the things to consider, and the expectations and the things that you'll go through, especially in that first year of like, what the heck, some cases, what the heck did I do to, I'm so glad I did this. So there's there's different cycles, different stages, I should say, but it's really exciting. Everyone has different goals. Some people just want to make as much money as possible. That's financial freedom. For me, it was more time freedom, but you have other freedoms. You have freedom of location, freedom of purpose, and freedom to work with the people you enjoy working with. Unlike maybe your job, you can decide the clients you're working with, the type of client, fire a client. Those are the 5 freedoms that Dan Sullivan talks about in Strategic Coach, which is really helpful. And it could be a combination of all 5 or specifically just one. But find your why, find your reason for doing this, and then we can explore together if the fit's there. And we cover all the U.S. and Canada. So if you fall in any one of those areas, or thinking of moving to the States and either to the U.S., we can absolutely help you and walk you through that process.
Wow, that's awesome. And I like how you emphasized on the why, because that's the most critical part of any decision. Why am I doing this?
Yeah,
Or why
the
do I
why.
want to do it?
Right. I mean, I own a business. I'm self-employed 20 years. You own a business. When times are rough, for what do you say? Why did I do this? Or,
Yeah.
you have a bad day. Maybe you just didn't get enough sleep last night and everything is just kind of blown out of proportion. So I think that time freedom, not to miss the kids' events, that's pretty important in my opinion. And yes, you had a bad day, a client canceled, something happened. Okay, well, you move on. You're still not working for another manager, another company. For me, it was, I'm still not commuting 2.5 hours each way to New York City. I commuted 10 feet from, I work from home, from my bedroom to my home office. So I remind myself, like, I created this. I really enjoy helping other people. And those are the reminders you always kind of have to just kind of remind yourself about.
Yes, yes, indeed, because I can definitely relate to the commute thing
Not
because I
easy.
drove an hour one way, accident, traffic, 2 hours, and I do not miss it.
Yes, I don't miss the bus, the train. It was like planes, trains, and automobiles every day. It was
It's
an
horrible,
accident. Yeah.
horrible. And then you had to get up. I had to get up like 4 o'clock in the morning
Yep.
to get to work by 8. Ridiculous.
Yeah, it was 5:30 every morning. And I don't know how I did it for so many years, but
Yeah,
I said, if I got up at 5 a.m., kids are still, we didn't have kids at the time, but if they were sleeping and then got home at 8 or 9 p.m. with the traffic and they were in bed, I would never see them. So for that why, that's what really motivated me to say, okay, that why it was really strong. Some
yeah,
people's whys are like, yeah, I like change. I make 500,000 a year, and yeah, I'm thinking of owning a business. A lot of those people end up buying a franchise or buying any business because they're doing well. There's not enough pain there. But if you're truly not liking the job, don't see the future, maybe you're recently laid off, there's a pain there, right? There's a discomfort
yes,
there, and people are looking for what else. And I always say a franchise is definitely not the right fit, nor is business ownership the right fit. But I compare it to almost creating like we all have insurance. It's almost like creating a safety net.
mhm,
You may be downsized, especially in tech, at some point in time. What is your company going to give to you? Well, they're going to thank you for your hard work, and maybe you get a small severance, and maybe a week, maybe a
right,
month, a couple months. But what happens after that? And you got one income stream, and we're blindly investing in a 401k that we don't control or manage, aside from the allocation. So why not bet on yourself, have another stream of income? And in my business, you can have 20 streams of income and really control, like, hey, maybe the market and the economy is going south. I'm going to double down on more recession resistant areas like healthcare, senior care,
mm,
water and smoke mitigation, flood damage, fires, and stuff like that. You can kind of pivot and shift where you really can't do that when you're employed at a job. You just end up getting laid off, unfortunately. So these are strategies to minimize risk and really create a safety net.
yes. And in today's world, you definitely have to have multiple streams of income
Yes.
because
Yes.
you don't know from one minute to the next what's going to happen. there's so much uncertainty right now that it's kind of mind blowing. It's like nothing, and the job situation has been unstable for a while. It has been
Absolutely.
very
Yeah.
unstable, and I always say when their money look funny, you ain't getting none.
I mean, I mean, that is true. You really need to know, like, they're not telling you every single thing. So you got to really watch the news, find out who's getting laid off. AI is taking away, it's creating some jobs, but it's taking away others.
Yes,
So, why fight it? There are franchise companies that have invested millions of dollars to help you get up and running. And yes, you're going to be a little bit leaner and you're going to have maybe some less staff because the AI is creating, or I should say, scheduling your introductory calls. But I heard stats of some of these systems where across the country, that caller can have 4,000 conversations at the same time, make 4,000 outbound calls at the same time. Doesn't get tired, doesn't need vacation, and AI is not taking away all jobs, but it is making I know on the franchisee side a little bit more efficient. So instead of a staff of 5, maybe you have a staff of 3. You still need staff and things like that, but it's helping with the marketing. It's helping cut
yes,
back on costs and the automations.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So let's get into a little bit about the different types of franchises that people can get into.
Yeah, there's so many. I'll give you a range. So most people think of fast food. I know that was the case for me. Your McDonald's, your Chick-fil-A's, and those are the most popular. But not everyone wants to be in the food space, and not everyone has some of that money to invest in something like McDonald's. So there are, believe it or not, businesses around business coaching, executive recruitment, right? We have these regular small mom and pop businesses, national businesses. Now there's also franchises. Home services, since COVID has exploded with the services offered to the homeowner because a lot of people are still working from home. So
Hmm.
cleaning and roofing and siding. One brand that really took off, or industry, was dog waste removal, believe it or not. Um, I should say animal waste removal. So coming to the home, picking up after the dogs, but also going to an HOA, and if they have picking up, we'll call it animal waste, and keeping everything clean. But you have everything in between, as an expense reduction to help small businesses cut back on their expenses. We have things around cybersecurity, believe it or not. How do we protect small businesses for any type of cybersecurity attack? And then you get into things like health and wellness, IV and vitamin infusions, cryotherapy, helping people, speed up the process of weight loss, a lot of anti-aging, a lot of meal planning and prep, to just your traditional, we call them a small boutique fitness, your gyms, your Pilates studios, and things like that. So if you could think of the business, there's probably a franchise. And it's funny when you ask the franchise what business they're in, they'll say, "Oh, we're a marketing and sales engine because that's our strength, and we happen to be in the fitness space." And it's pretty interesting to hear that, because they said we have a strong system, we have a great service. Maybe we'll call it Pilates, but we have a great way of bringing in clients into the studio and retaining them. And this is our system. But it all starts with, how do we create enough interest in the community for people to sign up? So it's really interesting to hear, how they describe themselves as a business model.
Wow. Wow, that's interesting.
Mm.
That's right. That sounded really good right there.
It's a different way of looking at it, if you kind of peel the onion back. So
Yes, yes, indeed. Because I've just interviewed a young lady who's wants to franchise her nanny service,
okay.
which I thought was really, really, I may connect you to, because she's just trying to get it. Do you help people actually create a franchise?
We do speak with. I'd say I probably speak with at least 1 or 2 people a week, in regards to converting their business or starting a franchise. I don't help through the whole process, but I find out kind of what they're looking for at what stage, so I can put them in touch with. There are companies that just specialize in that space. They help create all the legal documents and make sure they get registered in all 50 states. as that's also a challenge to make sure that you understand all the local law from one state to the next. But yeah, we do at least one or two calls and figuring out and make some referrals.
Yes, yes, because I just interviewed her last week, and she has a nanny service, and it's in a certain state. But now, because the need is so great, because I swear, when I interviewed her, I wish I had have known her when my baby was little, that I needed a nanny like bad because I didn't have regular hours.
Right.
I was in the IT space, so that's not a 9 to 5.
Correct. Yep. That's a lot of hours. But yeah, it's exciting. It's, why do you, why, and it goes back to the why. Why do you want to franchise? Franchising is one way to grow your business.
Hmm.
Other people are assuming a lot of the risk as well in the investment. So if you're based out of New Jersey and, people are buying in Texas and Pennsylvania and all over the rest of the country, that franchisee is taking a lot of the burden. So that's one growth strategy.
Hmm.
You can go corporate owned. You can go licensing, depending on what the business is. No right or wrong. It really depends on the goal. How quickly do you want to grow? Do you want corporate owned stores? It's going to be a larger investment since you're putting up the capital to build each and every location. So everyone always wants to know what's the best way. And I go, I don't know enough about you to tell you the best way. What are you trying to accomplish? If it's speed to growth, what does that look like? There's definitely a franchise could work, and in other cases, corporate owned may be the best route.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. So again, how do people connect with you? I like the way you explaining this.
Yeah, it's just the website, ggthefranchiseguide.com. Top right, you can book a call with me. 20 minutes, love to chat, answer any questions you have. If you're not ready to chat, take advantage of the book. It's my exact blueprint that I personally used to finding a franchise. We cover a lot more than franchising. We cover, I kind of put my joke and say my Dr. Phil hat on. How to reduce how to minimize divorce and issues at home. And that section is about telling your family, not making a decision and not informing the family. This is a big financial decision. It's a big time investment. So if you do have a family and you are looking to do this, let them know why you are doing this. Make sure you have that buy-in and let them know that first year it's going to be challenging. Mom or dad or whoever's involved is going to be working a lot of hours, but we're doing this so that we can spend more time with you. But that first year is that growing year. So we talk about that. We talk about building your team. That team is your financial advisor, your CPA, your accountant, your attorney, local attorney to your state, your franchise attorney, and the list goes on. I throw myself in the team as your my expertise is in franchising, but build a team because you want to make sure that you set up the right entity and specifically for your state, setting up a successor plan in the event something were to happen to you. What happens to your business? I went 5 years in business without knowing I even had to have that. So I talk about that and educate and really take as much of the stress off and anxiety as I can and reduce the amount of mistakes. I made a lot of mistakes, so I'm trying to help others not make those same mistakes. So check out the book. If you enjoy the podcast, check out the show. And if you're ready to chat, give me a call. It's 20 minutes, and I guarantee you'll walk away learning something new about yourself as well as franchising.
Yeah, so the podcast, what is that called?
So same title as the book. We kept the really original franchise freedom, and we interview guests from all over. So we have a lot of franchise companies on there, and then we have a lot of companies that touch the process. So we have franchise attorneys, regular attorneys, CPAs. We've had financial advisors, anyone that's involved in the process. We've had franchise owners, franchisees that we've helped over the years give a testimonial and talk about progress and what the due diligence process looked like and where they're at now. And they talk about their journey from corporate executive to franchise owner. I always say from signing the back of the check to signing the front of the check, which is I stole that from somebody. So we have a lot of stories, and it's there to really motivate and just say, listen, I was a stay-at-home mom prior to this, and now I own a business that covers half my state. I was a military veteran and had no idea I had options. And 1 in 6 franchisees are coming out of the military, so we talk about their stories, and the list goes on. And I think sometimes those stories will click with someone that maybe is coming out of the military, was in a similar situation, and it clicks, and it's like, you know what, maybe I should talk with Giuseppe and see if the fit's there, and maybe put together a time frame and just say, hey, everything checks off, but I just got a lot of personal stuff on my plate. This is something I want to maybe do in the next couple of years. We put together a plan. This is get your finances in order, maybe get the credit score increased a little bit, and read the book, do a little bit of homework. These are some books to read, so that when we talk in the next 3 or 6 months, we can start getting a little bit more specific on the specific business and what that looks like.
And where can people listen to the podcast?
So right on the website, we kept it simple. So you can go to YouTube. So it's Franchise Freedom. But if you go to the website and click on /podcast, or there's a media button up top, and you can click on podcasts. It'll go through and kind of list out all the shows. And then if you prefer audio, you can play it right on there. If you prefer iTunes or Spotify, click the links. We're on Pandora. We're on every single platform. You can take a look there. Some people like YouTube for the video, and there's also a section of guest appearance. We've done about 100 guest appearances, covering sometimes random, even outside of franchising. So if there's a very specific topic, like we had a whole topic on AI, you can also take a look at that section. But yeah, Franchise Freedom is the show. Make sure my name shows up. There's my pictures on the cover, and as I mentioned, we cover every topic from selling to buying the business to who's a good fit to who's not, to the latest trends in franchising from our latest conference. So I encourage you to check it out.
Wow. Wow, wow, and more wow. I'm so glad I met you, Mr. G. This has been very, very educational for me, and I know the audience is like soaking it up, gonna soak this up. So this is all awesome. And I like to do this again because I learned a lot. And I'm definitely gonna go over to your channel and check that out and probably subscribe because
Appreciate it.
yeah, because I know people that I've interviewed a lot of people in the franchise business, but I haven't interviewed people like yourself who just the mindset piece. What's your why? Because once you know that, it makes a world of difference as to how you're going to move.
I agree. And do an internal audit. What are you good at? What do you enjoy doing? What are your skill sets? You don't need experience for any of this stuff. You don't need to, most of the people I help have never owned a business. What's your transferable skill set? Not that IT, I worked in IT, so that's my skill set. I would challenge you to say, yes, IT is your experience, but what is the skill set? Well, it's
Right.
managing an IT department. Okay, management is a transferable skill set. It's networking and talking with other business owners to maybe convince them into using the IT service. That's networking and a sales component. That's kind of being the mayor of the town, getting in the community, getting to know everyone. So do an internal audit. You could do that on your own. What are you good at? What don't you like? List all those out. That's a great way to narrow whatever that business looks like. And yeah, I found it helpful. And running a business, you're going to be wearing a lot of hats to start. And then as that 6 to 12 month mark hits, you can kind of figure out what your future role is going to be in the business.
Absolutely. Wow. Well, this has been amazing to say the least. And I really appreciate you taking time out. And audience, I appreciate you as well. And thank you so much, Mr. G.
Thanks, Ida. This is fun. I really appreciate the invite. Definitely like to do it again.
Absolutely.